Welcome home, horror fans. My name's Adam.
And I'm Zoe, and as we all know, there has been a lot happening with the Scream franchise over the past week.
A lot has been going on.
Yeah, almost too much to even comprehend.
That's right. I'm sure you guys are all very aware that the star of the last Scream film and the person who was supposed to be starring in the latest Scream film, which is in production, has been fired from the film.
Yeah, Melissa Barrera was, I would say, unjustly fired by Spyglass and Paramount.
Yeah, it's not a good position to be in for Spyglass or for herself. She was fired for making some comments on social media, which is just always a terrible mess,
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's pretty crazy, and it's definitely caused a stir online of a lot of Scream fans saying whether they'll be watching Scream 7 if it is to go ahead, being that Melissa Barrera was fired. But of course, we know that's not the only cast member who left Scream 7 after.
Yes, well, right off the back of Melissa Barrera being fired from the film, of course, there was a very swift announcement of Jenna Ortega, who is kind of really the co-star almost. She's like obviously one of the main characters as well.
She was pretty much the main, not necessarily written as the main character, but people go and see Scream for Ortega.
Yeah.
Ortega has a big cult following.
Yes, she's very good.
And we know the day after, it was announced that she would not be returning to Scream 7 either.
That's right. And of course, the official announcement was there was a scheduling conflict due to Wednesday Season 2, that she would not be returning for the new Scream movie, which was incredibly convenient a day later.
I think everyone who's a fan of Scream or just has a brain in general knows that that's not the truth and that's not the case.
We can only assume that Ortega decided to not continue with the film after hearing most likely her friend Melissa Barrera was removed.
I think
from
she
the
definitely
film.
stands with Melissa Barrera, and I think that when she found out how Melissa was treated for making the comments that she did, Jenna followed suit and decided to stick with Melissa. And I really think that that's a nice gesture. I think that you hear news about all the time about the Avengers film specifically, about how Robert Downey Jr. was paid more than most of the staff or the cast, and he said that he would not do the film unless they were paid more. And I think this is the same sort of situation where I feel like Ortega is really loyal.
She's standing in solidarity.
She's standing in solidarity with
Melissa
her
Barrera.
friend. And I think that that's lovely.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's hard to even really probably imagine the Scream movie if Ortega had continued on without the
Her
main
sister,
character, Sam, being there. That would be kind of odd, and it also might make Ortega feel maybe bad, for filling in, especially if you'd been replaced as the main star. It kind of is big, it's a bit weird. It's probably a bad position to be in for Ortega, to sort of be pushed probably into the main character role after Melissa gets fired. So it kind of makes sense, really. This puts them obviously in a really bad position, because what do they do now with the film? And there's been obviously a lot of news about this coming forward.
I think first off, with what they can do for the film is, we know that now the script needs to be completely rewritten. So from scratch. So a film that everyone thought would be coming out in mid-2025 is now,
possibly,
we have no idea. Possibly not even coming out.
Well, that's right. So the first thing we talk about really here is this film even getting made at this point? At the end of the day, this is something that is, like you said, either going to get completely rewritten. It's got to find a new star, a whole new story, and this is not an easy thing to do.
I think that there is a strong possibility that the film won't even be made. I think there's a strong possibility that they'll sell the rights to Scream and have it maybe turn into a complete spin-off or a TV series. Even I know they've already done a TV series actually for it. I have a feeling that it'll just go straight reboot, and they won't even focus on Scream as a franchise anymore. They'll end the franchise where it did. I think Scream 6 had the perfect ending of them walking away from the mask. I don't think they really need to do much more with it. But I think that that's going to be completely dependent on whether they can get Neve Campbell back or not.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? They had a very strong storyline in which they were following, so everyone knew where this next movie was going to follow Sam or Melissa Barrera's character. So it's kind of hard to continue the story without her and without Ortega. So it is interesting. If they do get Neve Campbell back, somehow they're going to weave this storyline, maybe bring the core four in and have them involved somehow.
I don't think the core four will be a part of it.
Really?
No.
That's a big call.
I think that I think they'll quietly be either let go or leave as well in solidarity with Melissa as well. Right. I definitely believe that the core four will either not be in it or completely sidelined from the film, maybe only even referenced.
I mean, I like the idea because I don't like the core four.
I never really liked the core four anyway, but really it's just the core two now, right? Yeah, I think that whether the film goes ahead is going to be completely dependent on whether they can get Neve Campbell back. I know that there's talks that they want Patrick Dempsey to return as his character, Mark Kincaid, and potentially Mathew Lillard coming back as Stu Macher. Now, specifically Neve Campbell, I don't know where the other two would be back. I don't think she will come back purely for the principle of it all. I don't see her agreeing, especially since she's already sat one out. Yep. It's not... She didn't really... I can't imagine that she really expected to come back for Scream 7 initially. So I don't think she will be returning
This is a tough one, though. Do you think that they could make the next Scream movie if they can't get back any of the big OGs, if they can't get Neve Campbell back, if they can't maybe get Patrick Dempsey, if they can't get back Mathew Lillard? Do you think that they could even make this movie?
They wouldn't. That's what I mean. If they can't get any of those characters back, let alone...
They couldn't go with a fresh face, you don't think?
No, definitely not. I do not think that they could... Well, they could make a Scream movie, but it wouldn't be Scream 7.
It would have to be a complete reboot.
It would have to be a complete reboot. I can't see Neve coming back. If she did, then I think Scream 7 would go ahead. Yeah. But I have a feeling that she won't say yes to any amount of money to return.
It'd be very interesting to see. I think that this is what's really sort of, I guess it's all relying on. If we get Neve Campbell back, no one's really going to complain in this movie watching Neve back. But at the end of the day, if they get Patrick Dempsey or Lillard back, can they make a Scream movie that kind of focuses on them enough to be okay with that? Is that going to work? Maybe
Lillard. I don't think Patrick Dempsey.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. I think out of the three characters, Patrick Dempsey's name is the hardest to remember. He's not as big of a character.
He just plays like a smaller role. I know that it was alluded to that he was Sydney's husband in Scream 5, and that he was in hiding in Scream 6. I think that they couldn't have Patrick Dempsey return unless they had Neve return as well. I feel like that would be a hard dynamic to touch on. So I think that they would have to have them both come back. Lillard, I think that they could definitely do a standalone film on. I think that they'd have enough to go with there. But either way, it's been such a big incident and it's had such bad press that I feel like people out of principle just won't go and see it regardless of
you almost think that maybe Spyglass at this point should move away from the picture and let somebody else sort of deal with it because they're just created this bad press.
Absolutely. And it's really disappointing because Christopher Landon love him, and I love the idea of him coming to direct Scream because I love his creative take on horror and slasher. I think he's really good. Happy Death Day was amazing. Freaky was amazing. He actually released or had a statement about Melissa leaving, which I thought was pretty tone deaf as well. I think he said something along the lines of everyone stop yelling, it wasn't my choice, and everything sucks.
Because he's attached, he's sort of getting some hate, I think, due to this.
Yeah, I get that, but I'm sorry, but it was bound to happen, right?
Yeah, look, I think the fact that you've got a new director in Landon means that it's probably a good opportunity to possibly reboot the series at this point.
Absolutely.
Brand new director, obviously whole new star. Does it really hurt for them to reboot the franchise at this point?
I definitely think a reboot would work a hell of a lot better than Scream 7, but I definitely think they need to let go of Spyglass and Paramount. And maybe even if they let go of Spyglass and Paramount, get Melissa back on board with another production company. Because can you imagine something like that? Would have been would stir some controversy in Hollywood for sure.
Too much. Too much.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone needs to support Melissa at this point. Go out and see some of her films. I feel really, really bad for her. I think that there are a lot bigger names and a lot of people that have done a lot worse in Hollywood than what she has, or said a lot worse than what she has and get off with nothing. I'm talking about a lot of men in Hollywood specifically. So I would like to see... maybe a reboot of the film.
Unfortunately, social media is not doing anybody favors when they want to come out with a stance on something, and it's sad to see, unfortunately. And like we said earlier, we don't want to talk about too much about what she said or where she stands on things, but social media in general is just let the celebrities stay away from it. Let's just stop tweeting.
I'm in two worlds about it, because she is a celebrity and should know not to post things that maybe hold such a controversial opinion, because it can go one or two ways. But I also think that she is trying to use her platform for good. She has all these followers. She is an influential person. Yeah. So I think that she really was trying to use her voice to do good. And of course it's just been taken completely out of context.
No, 100%.
And I think that I don't even want to make a comment about anything that she said or anything that anyone is saying for that matter. I know Noah Schnapp's in some trouble at the moment for some of the things that he's put out on the internet. And I don't want to comment on it purely because I'm not educated enough in the subject matter. I don't feel like getting into that argument with anyone today. But yeah, I think that this is not the first time that something like this has happened. It certainly won't be the last. But regardless, I don't think Scream 7 should go ahead.
Yeah, well, we would love to hear what you guys think. Do you think they should be rebooting the franchise completely at this point? Now with no Melissa Barrera, no Ortega, do we just reboot the franchise? Is that the best move? Or would you be happy to see a continuation of the story as it is, maybe with a brand new star, or maybe with Neve Campbell if they can get her? How would you feel about a whole new actor coming in and taking Melissa's place at this point? It's a pretty sticky situation to be in. And I don't know how I feel about the reboot versus maybe trying to continue. This is pretty tough.
They'll want to keep it how it's going, but Neve, I don't think is going to want to return. So
yeah. Anyway, guys, that is another video all done, and we will see you in the next one.
See you next time, guys.
Game over.